Hello Cobra Kai fans, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Terry Silver himself, as the man who plays Terry Silver, Thomas Ian Griffith, has shared in an interview with comic book resources some very big bombshells about Terry Silver's ending in Cobra Kai. So stay tuned as we break this down. I will link the full interview in the description, but in the meantime, we're going to be focusing on one specific aspect, which is one question that Thomas was asked about looking back on the past 3 seasons with his experience with Cobra Kai and what he can say about Terry's journey coming to a close this time in Cobra Kai series. We know Terry Silver's been around since the Karate Kid 3. He's an OG villain. He was such a great character to have introduced to this world during the 80s, and I think it's awesome to see him return in Cobra Kai. And we know Terry Silver was always going to make Cobra Kai a lot more interesting. Now, in this question he was asked, he said to be able to be part of something that's such a phenomenon, something that's so global. I hadn't realized how successful a show like this is until on a break with my wife, and I went to Greece for 10 days, and on every small little island they're all Cobra Kai fans. And so you go, oh my god, we're bringing joy and just a quick release to people to say, hey, it's this goofy crazy show I'm going to get caught up in, all these emotions and twists and turns. Just to be a part of that, it's been something real special. And to come full circle, The Karate Kid Part 3 was one of my first films I did. I'm just going, it's a job. John Alverson is directing, and if he says to go to this crazy place, I'm going there. I'm fully committing, and I'm going to make this the best thing it can be. That was my attitude then, and I think it's still my attitude with any acting job. I did my job, I lived something, I enjoyed something, and then you move on. And that's what I thought it would be. I hadn't seen Ralph in 30 years, and I get the call, I show up on set, and there's Ralph Macchio. And it's like, wow, this is bizarre for both of us. Now, in this part of Thomas Ian Griffith's answer, we get something huge that was actually something that Thomas Ian Griffith had brought up during season 5 press. Now here's where it gets very interesting about Terry's ending in Cobra Kai season 6. Thomas says, I think the way it ends, Terry Silver serves a very important piece of the big puzzle. We didn't have the time to really say how he got there, what he was going through to make those decisions, but that's what you always want as an actor. Keep pushing it to say, how can I work that in? In this limited, finite period, how can I just bring hints of that? What is it like to say you have terminal cancer, you have lost everything, most importantly, the respect you wanted, you desired, and you earned. And when that's all taken away, that's a really human feeling that gives you freedom to really do anything. Now, in a very specific part of this, he mentions, say you have terminal cancer, you've lost everything, and importantly, the respect you wanted, you desired, and you earned. This is basically saying, and I think it's confirming, that Terry Silver will die in Cobra Kai season 6 part 3. He's on by time, and because Thomas brought up terminal cancer in this interview regarding Terry Silver, I think this confirmed what he said during the season 5 press when he mentions that there was a storyline cut out with Thomas Ian Griffith's character Terry Silver having a terminal illness storyline. Now, this is going to be bringing that full circle because there was probably a big plan to have a lot more with Terry Silver in season 5, where they wanted to show a lot more of his illness and what he was going through, but they ended up cutting that out, and perhaps they didn't want fans to really get an idea of what will happen by the end of the show with Terry Silver. They wanted to keep that more of a surprise as how they end his character, because if we knew that they were going to go with this storyline since season 5, then we know that it's definitive that they will kill Terry by the end of the show. But because they cut out the storyline, it makes it clear that they want to build it up from season 5. Perhaps they wanted to do this idea in a different way, which is why they've kept that for season 6. And in part 3, there'll probably be some dialogue where Silver goes, I have terminal cancer, I'm dying. And this might be a conversation he has with John Kreese. This could be before their next fight that they have together. And I would not be surprised if Kreese finds out that Silver is dying. And perhaps instead of killing each other, he decides to let Terry Silver live his life, because things have got so bad at this point, especially with the death of Quan, it's changed them. And I do think with Silver's whole legacy, he has been talking a lot about legacy and what he wants to leave behind in season 5. And I think that was definitely alluding to him dying in a sense. But the creators cut that storyline out. It also makes sense why Terry Silver showed up in hospital when he saw Johnny and Carmen in the elevator, as Thomas said during that season 5 interview, that they did cut out this storyline. I would love to hear what the creators of Cobra Kai will say about this once the show is wrapped up, because we only have a few months to go. We know he's a very unpredictable character, and that might be why the creators decided to cut this storyline out. Because of what Thomas said here, it means that he's dying. I mean, Terry Silver made it clear he was very hopped up on cocaine during the 80s, so perhaps that's caught up to him. And I do think this ending for Silver will be sad. Hopefully there is something that comes out of it. But as he is doing everything he can, maybe his ending will be tragic. But we still don't know how they end it. Although the fact that he's dying of cancer means he's on borrowed time and he's doing everything he can to secure his legacy. So how do you guys feel about this news with Terry Silver? Obviously it's huge, but we can obviously say that his character will be killed off most likely by the end of the show, or Thomas has alluded to that. So we'll have to see what else comes out with that. Let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this with Terry Silver having terminal cancer and his character potentially dying in part 3. Hit the like button and subscribe now for more on Cobra Kai Nation. I've been your host Shamoon. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Just to welcome you to your rightful place in the Sakai Takai.
Cobra Kai Nation.
If you thought blah 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 was blah blah blah,